Okay, so I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to record a video without a script. So this could be either really, really good or really, really bad. So let's just jump into it. So I just finished watching AEW Rampage, and it was Wheeler Yuta versus Jon Moxley in the main event. It was a fantastic main event, and I just can't believe the development of a single character in the span of a month. I mean, it's unbelievable what AEW can do with their characters in such a short amount of time. They just turn it on. Like it's like Wheeler Yuta's just been sitting there, not in no man's land, but he's kind of not really been doing anything that important. And then here he is, all of a sudden, 1 month later, and he's one of the most interesting parts of AEW. When people complain that their favorite wrestler's not being used or this person's not getting enough spotlight, I always sit there and say to them, just calm down, because look how quickly things can change. Not everybody can be highlighted at the same time, but when they are highlighted, it is absolutely must-watch television. I mean, when somebody's in the spotlight and they're good enough, usually it's must-watch television, and that is definitely what's happened with Wheeler Yuta in the last month. He's gone from not really an irrelevant part of the show, but kind of in the background with the best friends. Best friends aren't my cup of tea personally, and Wheeler Yuta's been part of that. I mean, when he first came in, there was something about him that made him a little bit special. I mean, you knew there was something about him. In ring, I was instantly impressed with how good he was in ring. I had never watched him prior to AEW because I don't watch ROH. I don't really watch any other indie companies. So I hadn't really heard of Wheeler Yuta, so I didn't know how good he was in the ring. He came in, he was good, he was clean. Character was a bit weird. Like, he was wearing tights, but he had like a jacket with a fur coat, and the character was weird. I always thought that it needed a little bit more polish, but there was clearly something there. It was an uncut gem that was just waiting to be polished up, and you could tell that from the beginning. He was always missing something. Maybe if you've watched him for a long time, you'll be sitting there saying, no, he always had it. He just wasn't able to show it. He wasn't given the green light to show it, and that might be true as well. But in terms of a new viewer to Wheeler Yuta, there was something that he was missing, and I think he's found that something in the last month. Absolutely unbelievable, the development and the evolution in the span of a month that he's shown. Like I said, I always thought there was something there. It's been very, very recent. I mean, he had his match with Bryan Danielson, and now he's had his match with Jon Moxley. But in the span of that, he captured the ROH Pure title from, what was his name? Josh Briggs. What was his name? ROH Pure Champions list. Josh Woods. He beat Josh Woods at Supercard of Honor, which I actually did watch and I enjoyed. I don't want to seem like I'm jumping on the ROH bandwagon now that it's part of AEW, because I will fully admit it, I never watched it before, and I don't know how often I will watch it, but that was a good card, and there were some interesting guys on the show, some okay bits of wrestling here and there, I'm just looking at this list of pure champions, by the way. AJ Styles, Jay Lethal, Samoa Joe, Nigel McGuinness, Bryan Danielson. Bit of ROH pub quiz knowledge there for you. There's only now been 10 pure champions. And funnily enough, no one has been a 2-time champion. Is that right? And I feel like that belt has, I guess this is going to sound like a pun, but that belt has added a few notches to Wheeler Yuta's belt. He's added a few more bows to the arrow. All right, here I am editing this video. What the hell is an extra few bows to the arrow? What does that even mean? I meant strings to the bow. And even then, I don't know what that means anyway. But yeah, I don't know how many more cliches I can pull out of my ass. But if you want to look at it in a shoot sense and also a kayfabe sense, he's evolved as a character and as a wrestler. I mean, if you want to look at it as a shoot sense, and again, maybe he's just been given the green light to show his abilities more, but he's just improved, I think, as a professional wrestler in the shoot sense. And in kayfabe, obviously he's improved, right? He's had really, really good matches with both Bryan Danielson and especially Jon Moxley. I mean, they sold the hell out of him being able to beat Jon Moxley. I mean, they made it really close. I think it was 2 paradigm shifts he kicked out of. He had countless near falls. I mean, the way they sold it was that he was close to beating Moxley. Way, way closer than he was to Bryan Danielson. The blood, the image of him in the blood with the crimson mask, he comes out with a belt, obviously. So in the last month, kayfabe-wise, he's taken a massive step as a professional wrestler from really obscurity into, at the very least, you could sell him as a mid-carder. I mean, I'm just thinking about it now. Like, if you were to book him versus Sammy Guevara right now, I would probably book Wheeler Yuta to win. I just think in a kayfabe sense, he is ahead of Sammy Guevara for me. He's also a lot more interesting than Sammy Guevara, that's for sure. And I think now the initiation into the Blackpool Combat Club is over. He got Bryan Danielson's green light, he got Jon Moxley's green light, and I think he's obviously now got William Regal's green light with a handshake. I fully expect if there is a segment with all of the members of Blackpool Combat Club for Wheeler Yuta to be in that ring with him. I think he's officially part of that stable now. I don't think it should be the last member. I still believe that Lee Moriarty should be there. I do believe that Daniel Garcia should eventually be there. I mean, I don't know how long British Combat Club is going to go for or what the plan is with them, but I personally believe that Garcia should be there as well. I don't like what he's doing with the Jericho Appreciation Society right now. I mean, I don't like Jericho's new group in general. I don't mind him getting new members. I just really don't like the direction that they've taken it with the whole sports entertainer thing. I mean, I know you're not meant to like them. I get that part, but it's not even that I don't like them. I just don't find it interesting. But that's just me. That's just my personal opinion. I do hope that in the end, it's all for Daniel Garcia in a way. So I hope that it's kind of like the way that Sammy Guevara got put over by the Inner Circle, that the same thing is going to happen with Daniel Garcia. I do hope that him and 2.0 end up where Pride and Powerful and Sammy Guevara have ended up. I still want to see more from Pride and Powerful, if we're just going to quickly touch on that as well. I still think they should be tag team champions at some stage this year. They've had their moment and they've kind of fallen back into obscurity. I think they're going to get through this whole thing with Jericho and they're going to get their revenge on Jericho, which is going to be good. And then where they go from there, I'm a little bit concerned about. I do hope that it's tag team gold. And there's so many titles right now on AEW television, by the way. Like there's the AEW World titles, obviously, the tag titles. But you got ROH and AAA tag team titles being defended on AEW television. Surely they can get their hand on something. They need some gold around their waist by the end of the year, in my opinion. But yeah, I do believe and I hope that sooner rather than later, this is all ending up with a Daniel Garcia versus Chris Jericho match, and it's for Daniel Garcia's benefit and for him to be put over at the end of the day. I think that's the only thing that makes sense out of this stable, so I hope that that is the direction they go in. And I don't know if it'll fall in line for Garcia to end up in the Blackpool Combat Club, but if it's not him, I do think Lee Moriarty makes a lot of sense. So hopefully they now start the initiation of the next member. And I would love, and I would absolutely love, you guys know I watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. If this group goes to Japan as a stable, all members of the stable, let's say it's 4 wrestlers and William Regal, they all go to Japan as a stable, because if you're not aware, the name of the game in Japan is stables. Most of the wrestlers on the roster are part of a stable. I would absolutely love if they go over as a stable. Moxley and Danielson can do the G1. Maybe Wheeler Yuta and Lee Moriarty at the time can maybe do the Best of Super Juniors or something like that. And I would just absolutely love to see that. That would be unbelievable. Truly unbelievable to see that then go as a stable as well, because that brings a little bit more flavor into it, because in Japan, they're very used to stables. So if you send them as a stable, I think the Japanese fans will get it all the way around this group, to be honest with you. And that'll be just extra exposure for Wheeler Yuta and hopefully Lee Moriarty. And again, I don't know if Yuta or Moriarty have done stuff in Japan before, because again, I don't follow the careers of indie stars very, very closely. So if they've done things in Japan before, forgive me, but this would be a different level of spotlight that they would be going with. And hopefully Wheeler Yuta would be going with the ROH Pure Championship around his waist. That would be nice to see as well. It seems like most of the reigns with the Pure title are longer ones as well, so hopefully he's able to take that there. That'll bring a little bit of prestige as well to him, being able to take that title around the world and sort of defend it around the world. That would be really, really cool too. So I think the avenues are massive now for Wheeler Yuta. I think the ceiling has just been busted open. He always had the potential, but now there's the road to actually reach that potential. And I just think that this match against Moxley is that moment that we're going to go back and look and say, that is Wheeler Yuta's moment. That's the launch pad. That's where the rocket took off from, because everything he's done beforehand has been okay. And again, there was glimpses, but now I think we're really going to see the beginning of Wheeler Yuta's career as we're going to know him for the next decade, let's say, or 5 years. I think this is the start of the Wheeler Yuta we're going to eventually know. This is what we're going to look back at and say, holy, that was the moment. Like, that was the moment. It's kind of happened with other stars, like Dante Martin had his few weeks where it was just, he was being turned into a made man. Sammy Guevara's had his moments where he was turned into a made man. Jungle Boy eliminating Christian Cage, that sort of made him a made man. All these moments are things that in the moment, you don't realize what it is, or perhaps some of you do, and maybe even in a year you won't realize what it is. But the way we look back at some of the legends, and we look back at the early days of their careers, and we say, yeah, that was the moment, or this was the moment. Whether it's Stone Cold with the King of the Ring, whether it's Batista, whoever it is, you want to go back and look at, that's the moment. I think that this is the one for Wheeler Yuta. We're going to look back at this match with Moxley and say, or maybe the dual matches with Danielson and Moxley and capturing the ROH title, and we're going to look back at this period and say that was where Wheeler Yuta was made. And I'm, for one, very, very excited because I do think there's a lot of potential in the kid. I do find him quite interesting. But most importantly, I like him in the ring. And for me, if you're good in the ring, that's definitely not the be-all, end-all. But if you're good in the ring and you can add the flavor, add the spice of the character as well, and the storylines, then you've really grabbed my attention. He's already told the best friends, listen, I just want to be the best wrestler I can be, not the best friend I can be. And I love that line. I love that character for Wheeler Yuta. He wants to be the best, and he's joining the best, and it makes so much sense. It brings a sense of competition into the company, which sometimes I feel like is missed in AEW. People want to be the best wrestlers in the world, and I like hearing that because it's A, true, but B, it should be the reason why these people are wrestling. It's to be the best in the world. And that's what Wheeler Yuta's trying to be, and I am all for it. Now, this is 2 back-to-back videos from me about the Blackpool Combat Club, but I guess they were like a month apart. Sorry for not uploading for a while. I've actually been enjoying a little bit of a break from wrestling, to be honest with you. I've taken a step back. I don't watch as many videos on it. I'm not watching it as intensely. It was a nice wind back from the wrestling world. I'll slowly ramp myself back into it. But this channel is so good for me to just be able to, you know, share my feelings on wrestling, and it's been really, really good. I very much enjoy it. This was a very different video, no script for this one, just my pure thoughts after watching Rampage. And I appreciate you guys very much. If you did enjoy today's video, even though it was a little bit different, maybe not as structured, then do leave a like on it. As always, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully sooner than how long it took me to make this one. But until then, peace out, love you lots, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!